The mind is a magical place. We can visit worlds that have never existed and meet people who've long since passed. Inside ourselves, we are creatures of boundless experience. Just consider the act of playing music. You're putting something that has lived in your mind into the world. That's magical. Then again, I'm a musician. I'm expected to think this way. I was the kid in class who kept drumming on things, tapping my glass in the cafeteria, whistling the same loop over and over until I got the pitch right. I'd be dancing to tunes no one else could hear and singing songs without lyrics. I was a menace. But the world can be a rough place. There's not a lot of room for song and dance. What started as a love for the creation of sound turned into an interest, then a hobby, then a career. You can't just make music anymore. You're a sampler, a DJ, a vocalist, a drummer. You have to be like a thing. You have to say that you make techno, trap, glitch hop, industrial D&B, chill out, house, trance, whatever. You have to put that love of sound into a little box so others can find it. And then it gets reviewed, chewed up, looped in seedy nightclubs, 99 cents each. They ask you to change it, to mutilate it, to tear out its heart and replace it with circuit boards. And overnight, that little song you hummed in your head starts to look like a disgusting monster, and it hates you for it. But that's what makes you money. Cheap clones and dirty bass drops. Last September, I was hard at work finishing a set of songs for a collaboration. Big time stuff, part of a larger collection that was already set to go commercial. However, it turned out I'd gotten the wrong info. The deadline I'd been given was not for the samples, it was for the finalized version. I'd been working 16 hours a day for a week just to get the samples out. But we were supposed to be done already. Friday came around, deadline was up, and I hadn't delivered. I was out, and an 80-hour work week got me absolutely goddamn zilch. I was standing on my balcony drinking whiskey straight from the bottle. My buddy Erica had come over to cheer me up. She'd brought me a little flower and put it on the kitchen windowsill. It'd be dead in a week. Just take your time and finish it, she said. You got some good stuff. Good, not great, I sighed. If I want to go commercial solo, I need something good. Like what? I don't know, I said, taking a swig from the bottle. Something, I don't know. We talking heavy? Metal vibes? Or more like retro? I don't know. She gave me a pat on the back and took the bottle from me. We shared it and stayed out for hours, just looking up at the stars. When she left, I was left staring at a set of screens. A bunch of half-finished samples and uninspired bullshit. Cookie-cutter dreg. Half of it was repurposed stock sounds. Sleep-deprived and intoxicated, I chugged the last of my rum and coke and trashed all of it. Into the bin, deleted, gone. Fuck yes, I cheered. Fuck yes! I spent the rest of the night listening to that little part of me that just loved music. That part of me that was singing melodies, humming songs, and just dancing the night away. That childish part of me that stayed silly and kooky, and who never stopped listening to that crackling spark of life at the back of my mind. Boundless potential reached into me and told me to make something. Endless possibility, like the stars above, and I had fun. Letting it all go, I finally just had some fun. For a moment, I stopped. I glanced over at the sunflower that Erica brought over earlier, the blue, wilting petals, vibrant and beautiful, trapped and contained, relatable. I watered it and threw it off the balcony, be free or whatever. I have to keep going. I let my mind go and watched the colored lines stack up into patterns seemingly on their own. This wasn't even my song anymore. It was the song of whatever worked its magic through my hands. I was just along for the ride, like being kidnapped and blindfolded in the trunk of a speeding car, hoping it doesn't crash. And it was going to be an absolute banger. Sometime around 8 in the morning, I must have passed out in my chair. I woke up hours later as the sun set, with a keyboard pattern imprinted on my cheek. I horked down 5 glasses of ice water and crashed in the shower. I'd been an idiot. I could have finished a few of those songs in a day or two, could have put them up. Not for much, but something. Rent was coming up, and my wallet was running on fumes. Never ever delete your work. But staring at me from the screen was this mutant song, this monstrous thing I'd whipped up in a frenzy. I was afraid to hit that play button. to hear it sober for the first time. My finger trembled. Should I? Why was I scared? I pressed it. Heavy percussion, deep bass line. This strange, wonderful sound, like hammers gently breaking bones and molten metal richness frying the speakers. I'd never heard that kind of effect before. A thick pumping rhythm pulling at my neck, forcing me to nod along. Electronica cutting through the dark tunes like a banshee screaming for vengeance. An unnatural melody formed in an ecology of discordant thrashing, and at the center of it, vocals. Hypnotic, guttural vocals. Was that my voice? What the hell kind of effect was that? It wasn't even words, just noises, consonants and vowels, speaking in tongues. And as the rhythm escalated, building up towards an explosion, a single word came through clear as day. H-E-L-L-O. I hit the pause button. I was holding my breath and I didn't even realize it. There was no way this music could come from me and my equipment. I didn't have any samples even remotely resembling this. And those vocals? They were something else entirely. No, I said, shaking my head. No way. I shut it down. Project closed, shut, and deleted. Not even a question about it. This wasn't mine, and there was something there, at the core, that terrified me. It took me a while to realize that I had stood there, listening to that song on repeat, for 35 minutes straight. My hands were shaking, and I could hear that voice reverberating through my body. I felt cold, and my muscles ached. I felt sick and weak. I fumbled for my phone to call Erica. I had hundreds of notifications all across my socials. Likes, shares, messages, follows, tons of them. I uploaded the song last night. It was already out there under my name. I just stared at my phone, watching notification after notification pop up. Ding after ding after ding. I'd never anticipated this volume of feedback, so I didn't have the default setting to stop it. Instead, I just stared at the screen like an ant trying to understand a light bulb. What the fuck was happening? I sat down, burying my face in my hands. I should be happy. This was all I wanted. To go viral overnight, but it felt wrong, like it wasn't me. I'd let something work through me, and I felt used. I had no control over it. It was already out there. I retreated to my bedroom. I'd just woken up and I was already exhausted. I crawled into my tangled sheets and pulled an old blanket over my shoulders. A light pushed itself through the gap at the bottom of my bedroom door, piercing the shadows on the floor like a dagger. A R-E-Y-O-U-O-K-A-Y. No one said anything. It wasn't a physical voice in the room. It was more like an anticipation. Like when you look at a friend and you know what they're about to say. And yet, nothing was really said. And in another way, it was. It felt intimate in a way. What? I whispered into the dark. What are you? THANKSFORLISTENING. What do you mean? I kept whispering. Listening? What? I sat up, looking around the room. I was wide awake again, and there was a throb in my temple. My left eye felt warm, like I was getting a fever. Something tickled my lips, and my mouth tasted iron. I was having a nosebleed. And there, by the light poking into my bedroom, I saw a shadow on the other side of the door. I twisted and turned that whole night, sleeping in the half-hour segments until the next morning. I woke up dehydrated and famished. My head was killing me, and I smelled like death. My sheets weren't much better off. I dragged myself into the shower, barely noticing the few seconds where the water was still cold. It felt nice on my burning eyelids. I let the water wash over me like a baptism, accepting whatever may come. After a few seconds of giving in to the sensation, I reached for the shampoo. Something handed it to me. I almost tripped, ripping down the shower curtains as I scrambled for balance. I was alone in the room, but something had handed me that bottle. A hand with a slick, oil-like surface, like a viscous, chunky fluid in plastic wrapping. It had just been a split second, but I'd never felt anything like it. That tactile sensation made my fingers burn like ice. "Nope," I exclaimed. "Nah, no, fuck this." I put on my clothes and got out. Through the hall, past the elevator, down the stairs, out on the street. No way I was sticking around for a fucking demon or clown or ghost or whatever to eat me. I headed out. I needed to be around people in the daylight. I could go see Erica. I picked up the pace and followed the sidewalk down to the bus station. It took me a few minutes to realize there was someone behind me, matching my speed. I stopped, and so did they. An open street in daylight. It doesn't get much realer than that. That is soberingly real. And yet there I was, hallucinating. I could give in to it and turn around, but there was a part of me telling me to just keep going. I knew that if I turned around, I'd see something awful, something I couldn't recover from, and it was matching my pace. WHEREAREWEGOING. We're not going anywhere, I whispered. Leave me alone. YOUWANTMEHERE. I sure as fuck don't, I snarled. TOOLATE. I ignored my instinct and turned around. Fuck this thing. For a split second, the world turned into a tunnel. A dark, elongated tunnel. Space stretched forward, like a walk from me to an infinite void and a towering step. I felt hand on my chest as I was pushed back, and yet I fell forward, my balance flipping me on my head, spinning me. I fell in a heartbeat as the air in my lungs was stolen. I just laid there on the wet pavement, gasping for air. A wet leaf stuck to my face. COMEON. LETMEIN. Let you... I forced air into my lungs and got up on my knees. An old woman on the other side of the street gave me a long, confused look. I'm not giving you shit. PLEASE. Number, fuck off. I have a vague understanding of what happened next. To an outsider, it must have looked like I was wildly screaming at myself. It must have looked like I was trying to fight the air, or ripping my own hair out. But to me, it was a fight of life and death. I could only understand it in a mental sense. There was nothing really there. A being, just out of sight. A step to the side. It wrestled me to get into my head, posing a million questions at once. Do you think you can make it on your own? It asked. I tried to shut it out, tearing at my hair. Are you enough? I slapped myself, pushing my hands into my ears. Is it worth it? I bit my lip until I tasted blood. My eyes felt impossibly warm. What will you do when you fail? What will your friends say? Can you even love anymore? I couldn't keep up. I couldn't deflect any of it. And every time I hesitated, I could feel these long, soft fingers press into the flesh of my mind, trying to steer my brain like a hand puppet. And at some point, I gave up. For the rest of the day, I was out of control. Just like I'd been that first night when I just let go. I used my last cash on vodka and a hamburger. I went home, cranked the volume to max, and blasted my neighbors with my new mix. I was dancing around in my underwear, chugging booze straight from the bottle. I could see things move on their own. Equalizers self-tuning, auto percussion beating to the sound of my racing heart. Every blink of the eye, every beat of the pulse, it was all twisted and turned into this electronic expression of unbridled frenzy. And sometime around midnight, I leaned over the microphone and croaked, in that impossible voice, HELLO. I woke up naked, lying down on the balcony. I was holding up an empty bottle, watching the stars refract through the glass. And there for a second, I was at peace. Stars above, watching me, loving me. Whatever was with me, near me, buried in me, was enjoying this just as much as I was. Then, reality set back in. I dropped the bottle on my chest and felt nothing. I was hypothermic. My fingers and toes were just as blue as the sunflower Eric had brought me. I crawled back inside as the shivers came. I could hear notifications on my computer, but my living room was in disarray. I'd torn off an armrest from my chair, broken the kitchen table, and left the water running in the kitchen sink. I'd stabbed the closet door with every knife I had. I'd smashed every drinking glass and dropped the shards into the bathtub. I dropped to my knees, cutting myself on shards of glass. I was completely out of control, and it wasn't even me. It wasn't my fault. 120 new notifications, 130, 140. This person liked this, that person liked that. This one favorited this one favorited that. Liked. THEYLOVEUS. What the fuck have you done? THEYWANTTOHEARUS. Who are you? NOBODY. I got this image floating in my head. An image of little girls and boys playing with whatever they could get their hands on. Someone built roads in the sand, one dribbled a basketball, and someone kept brushing the hair of their dolls. They all played, and next to them was their shadow, playing along. And right there were my memories. Tapping my glass in the cafeteria, whistling the same loop over and over. Little me, dancing to tunes no one else could hear, and singing songs without lyrics. And right next to me was this presence, singing along, playing along, providing everything from backup vocals to percussion. We'd been a duo all these years, and somewhere along the line I forgot. Even then and there, I felt guilty. I detached myself so far from what I loved about what I was doing. I'd forgotten the joy. But in that brief moment where I'd gotten it back, something came along with it. A nobody. Nobody. I'm sorry, I wheezed. I forgot. YOUWENTSOLO. I chuckled. They were right. I was the Simon to their Garfunkel. Hearing the glass crinkle under my knees, I shifted uncomfortably. I forgot, I said. I'm sorry. It was quiet for a while. Just me and the running water in the kitchen. A dog barking next door. I was getting more notifications than I could count. And yet, in my head, there was quiet. Until it wasn't. TOOLATE. The balcony door swung open so hard that the glass crackled, and the hinges tore off. I shot up and stepped inside, poking holes in the soles of my feet. Like a glitch stepping out of the night sky, a solid black form stepped into my apartment. A real physical being. It was a living void with a sort of plastic sheen. A massive 10-foot giant crouching to get inside. Thin, muscular arms, long enough to drag its knuckles against the floor. Nimble, four-jointed insectoid legs, bending and twitching every which way. An expressionless, melon-shaped head. I could feel myself dying just looking at it. I felt just how badly I'd fucked up. I'd reached for this thing, and it had grown strong enough to overpower me. It didn't have to say anything. I knew what it was thinking. By allowing it to reach into the world, through me, it didn't need me anymore. It didn't need me to dream. I'd put my dream into hundreds, maybe thousands of people. And there were more people listening by the hour, by the minute. I was the dead meat, the tag-along. I stepped backwards and reached for the first thing I could grasp. A broken chair leg. I swung at the creature, feebly smacking into its arm. It felt like hitting wet cement, with a thick fluid resistance. That was the only weapon I had. It reached for me and effortlessly picked me up by the throat. It carried me into the bathroom and slammed me against the side of the bathtub. I heard the glass rattle. It dragged me up, but I managed to put my hands on the edge of the tub. It started pushing me down, attempting to shred me. I could feel little stings all across my hands and feet. I was panicking. It was too strong and relentless. It'd kill me without a second thought. This was a wounded animal, biting the hand of an abuser. "Wait!" I gasped. "Wait, wait, wait!" A push, and my arm slipped. 3 pieces of glass slipped into my elbow, poking the nerve. A bolt of pain shot up all the way to my neck. My accounts!" I screamed. You can't manage it? You don't know how it works." There was a hesitation in its movements, a question forming in the equivalent of its mind. "They can shut it down. They can ban you. You're screwed." I counted my panicked breaths as it lifted me out of the bathtub. It dropped me onto the floor and smashed the porcelain cistern of the toilet with a force that shook the room. The dust made me cough, and my eyes teared up. ICANTAKEYOUADOAY. That won't change anything, I said. "You can have my body, but you don't know how it works. They'll take you down. Not right now, but soon." YOULIETOME. "You think I'm the bad guy?" I spat. "You haven't faced a fucking algorithm, have you? You think I am this way out of what, spite? You think I want to be like this? To churn out this uninspired fucking dung like a factory slave?" YOUCHOOSE. This was never my choice. This wasn't N-O. There was a moment between us. It could easily rip my head off, turn me into dust, shred me and crush my bones, but instead, we just stared at one another. You think they'll dream of you? I asked. That they'll invite you into their hearts, their souls? You're a fad, a moment. Nothing lasts anymore. If you want to last, to be something, to live fucking rent-free out there, you have to play the game. A cold hand crept up on my throat, and a slick finger touched my neck. It decided something, and I had no choice but to agree. Nowadays, I've stopped making music. My music writes itself, and all I need to do is to moderate. A song pops up on my feed, and people just love me for it. They want to package it, sell it, repurpose it. I can honestly just tell them the truth, that it's not up to me. My work has a life of its own. I watch the money on my account go up, numbers ticking up one by one. I've disabled the notification sound on my socials. I don't even respond to Erica anymore. I have to tell someone. I can't say that life is hell, but it is empty. Whatever lived in me has left, and it took the music with it. And if I stop, he'll come back to finish the job. The mind is a magical place, but that magic can get real dark real fast.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe for more horror tales.